Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And with the release of the true 4th anniversary banner coming later tonight in just a couple of hours, I figured it would be a good time to take a look back and do a top 10 tier list of the existing metas, starting with the most recent release, which is Scourge wielder, and going, on down. We're only doing top 10, so, a lot of these are not going to get featured. But this is going to be a very subjective tier list. It's based on my own personal feelings on how things go. Obviously, you will have a different opinion. I'm interested to hear those opinions because tier lists are always fun, right? But a few key points that I want to cover before we get started is that we're going to grade each meta as a pure team with no substitutions. So if there's only 4 battle units, assume that a free-to-play unit is taking the spot of the final slot. So it's only the summonable units from each individual meta. We are not adding other units from other metas in, like Blanc could go on any of these and that would really work. We don't want to do that. We're grading just on pure meta. We are grading as if we are in each individual beatdown battles where everyone has true type advantage, everyone's buffs are working together, and the damage is going to be, the quote unquote, the same or similar across the board because we are running in their perfect scenarios. And I'm grading them off of a number of different criteria: how easy it is to use, how fun are the units, how much damage can they actually output, other kind of hopefully unbiased opinion, things like that. I just want to get this across to some of the new players who are like, what are the best teams in the game? Well, this is my opinion, but this is what I believe are the best top 10 teams in the game. So with those criteria out of the way, let's get started. Okay, number 10. We are in the current world of EX Unbound metas, so shock, surprise, it's only going to be EX Unbound metas featured in this top 10 list because they are the only ones that can do enough damage to really count nowadays, and they have that extra level of power creep. So number 10, everyone's favorite EX Unbound meta, Divine General. So Elmezia, Blanc, Hero, Diablo, Raphael, and Gazel. The 3rd anniversary team. 1 year ago, like today, did they come out. And this team, when it came out, did a whole butt ton of damage at the sincere and absurd cost of your actual sanity. Because running with one orb changer who only converts one orb and having to click that orb change skill 10 times a fight, and then Raphael's skill 10 times a turn, and then Diablo's skill, and then rewind, so you have to do another 5 converts with Diablo, or with Gazel, and another 10 stacks with Raphael, means that your 8-turn fight took half an hour. And while it did do a lot of damage, it took fucking forever, and it made everyone want to rip their hair out. Blanc is the most unimpressive unit out of this entire team, which is unfortunate because she is the hottest. And, the Hero and Diablo and Raphael, to a certain extent, have had a lot of lasting power supporting other teams, which is great. But as a whole, running this team, thankfully it's better than like fucking Festive Memories or something, but it's only number 10 because Festive Memories was ass. Bringing up the 9th slot is kind of going to be a shocker to some people, but this again is my opinion, and we're going to put the Tails collab. So we've got Tails, Rimuru, Hinata, Xion, and Alphen. And then the 5th slot, assume, is fucking like free-to-play Cleash or something, I don't know. Someone that doesn't matter for the team. So Rimuru, as a stacking protector, only getting magic buff, alt damage is cool, the orange gimmick, orange skill points, yeah, fine. But you're relying on Hinata to steal, Alphen to convert his own orbs, and then Xion to give that future hand of 2 orange orbs. So if you got really unlucky the first couple of turns and you don't have any Hinata orbs to steal, or you don't have any Alphen orbs to bring in, you're looking kind of rough. You would need to bring, in order to make this team run really well, a 5th character like Wielder of Magic Hinata, but we're not doing that here. We're not going to just put another character to make it operate well. We're going based off this. And based off of this, it did do a lot of damage. Hinata could do the 2.1 billion damage cap, which is fantastic. But running this team was just not a fun time, especially for a collab, and a collab that no one really gave a fuck about, because nobody really knows the Tales of series. There are players that do, don't get me wrong, I'm one of them, but I am a select few. Most of the people who were playing Slime when this collab came out, even JP players, were like, bro, what? Who? What? It's also our first collab that only had 2 actual collab units, Alphen and Xion. So cool, I guess. The rest of them were Slime characters. We had an unfair advantage to Slime rather than the actual collab itself. I just find this team not very fun to operate because I just don't much care for it. It's hard to run without another converter or a future orb hand changer. Hinata can do a butt ton of damage. We've got the element change gimmick with this Xion. The crit with this Xion, the resurrection, is cool. This Alphen being a true DPS, but also being free to play, was interesting. But overall, this team gets overshadowed by others. Alright, spot number 8 I keep flipping back and forth between, but for now, I think I'm gonna leave it as the Don Machi collab. So 2 collabs in a row taking up some of our highest spots. Don Machi is a funny team because it does a literal fuck ton of damage. Ryu can do an AoE damage cap, Ice can do a single target damage cap. We've got the multi-skill, and you got Shuna for free, which was great. We've got a full team lineup. Bell, unfortunately, is kind of useless outside of this specific team and not stacking. You really can't use him anywhere else. Ryu is a good character as far as buffing, and she's got, that kind of weird passive heal and skill point and magic attack thing, and that's all good and fine and dandy. And Hestia converting multiple orbs every turn, plus passively the stacking element attack. Like, this is all good. It's just that when your team can be run more efficiently with friggin' Divine General Elmesia and Protector of Peace Geld, who isn't even on this list, things become a bit unnecessary. Like, you don't need Ryu to have Ice do damage cap before Ryu even came out. You would just need Geld and Fern or something, or Blanc or something, whatever. But you replace Hestia. You replace the Protector with a different Protector who's no longer giving you the big time damage buff. It's just a better Protector for a stacking team that has multi-skills, because this is, not unlike Divine General 2.0. It's still multi-skill. You're still using a butt ton of skills every turn, so why not throw a skill reset on there? I don't know. So it's a good team. It runs well, but it can run better, and it can do more with less L units on the team just overall. So that, and just Bell is fucking useless outside of his meta. It's not a great long-lasting team for the purposes of this tier list. Alright, next up on the list, spot number 7, and this is where I keep wavering. It's honestly between 8, 7, and 6, but spot 7, third collab in a row, the Frieren team. Now, the Frieren team was a really, really, really good team when it came out in January. Its damage output isn't what it needs to be anymore, but when it came out, it ran really well if you had everyone, especially if you had Raphael. It runs even better now that we have Blanc, but according to the rules, we can't put Blanc on the team. So we are missing a little bit of extra support and gauge increase, which does drop us down a little bit of a peg. But Frieren, still a really good AoE nuking character. Fern, still a really good DPS and a support option, because you can give people synergy power, alt resistance down, and EX alt damage up. Stark, can be invincible. That's saved us on a couple of different beatdown battles that we've used alternate teams on. That's not something you should discount. 3 turns he has it, and a taunt. You can't really get around that for a free-to-play character. It's the same as having a Alphen being a true DPS unit. And then Raphael being our triple orb stealer, plus orange converter, plus weakness strike, plus attack, plus additional weakness, and then Himmel being the first of his kind to passively convert 3 orbs and actively convert just like Hestia does with greens, means that this team in early 2025 was insanely powerful, but its damage doesn't stack up. It does need a 5th unit to really round it out, like Blanc, but we can't put her on, so grading it as it is now, I'm going to have to rank it at number 7. Number 6 could be a bit controversial because people are probably going to like Don Machi and Tails more than this team, but we're going to put the Spiritmaster 3.5 anniversary team here. So this is the Transforming Rimuru, the first transforming character. We're about to get Transforming Emils in a couple of hours, and he just looks like a power creep version of Rimuru. And then we've got Jean, Velzard, who is still a really fantastic character, Leon, who is also a good character. Converting 3 orbs to blue doesn't matter what color they are, doesn't matter who they are. The ult and the EX ult damage makes him an invaluable support asset, not for his team, but for all other teams as well. And then free-to-play Ritas, it does round out the team. She can convert 2 ult orbs, or 2 earth ult orbs, which we have 2 earth single target nuking characters. But there lies the problem that I have with this team. It is only single target nuking. Sure, if you have 2 very strong single targets, you could kill most stages, but generally there's 3 enemies, and we only have 2 nukers, because Velzard and Jean aren't doing the hundreds of millions of damage that Rimuru and Leon are doing, which does put us at a bit of a power gap, because a lot of the other teams can do AoE damage very successfully. So that's just a pure limitation built into the team. If Leon was AoE, I'd have no such issues, and this team would probably go higher. Velzard with the stun, the frostbite, our first character with Aegis, still very strong. Jean, the first character with the orb gimmick where she makes alts act like a different color is cool, but her support buff being limited to charge and needing an Aegis rate does put her back a little bit. And Transforming Rimuru, for our first transforming character, it wasn't super duper impressive. So, the hero is good. The alt rush and the vitalization is cool, and the healing. But it does lack an AoE, which does severely hamper this team. Next, we have technically another team that has the same issue that Spiritmaster had, and that is going to be Summer Memories. Summer Memories Guy. Jean, Violet, Blanc, and Ifrit. Now, yeah, technically when this meta came out, you were given, where are they? You were given Milim and Hinata for free. So one could argue that, yeah, they should be in this as well because they were part of the meta. They're from a long time ago, 2 years, but they were given away for free. And some people will say, well, you should include them as well, because then we wouldn't have this problem. But Milim's physical, the team is magic focused, so they are substitution characters more than anything else. So this team lacks an AoE, just like Spiritmaster. But it's also a burst team, but a blue orb team, which means you could put Leon on this team if you wanted to. That would work. You can't put Jean on the team. That wouldn't work. But this Jean will do a lot of single target damage. Like a lot of single target damage in a very short amount of time. Violet is a fraud. Her orb gimmick and ult swap and the 200% EX ult damage is not actually what you want it to be. Blanc is fine. Rainbow converting. You're getting permanent attack from that. Okay, and you get the Enamor. Cool. And then Ifrit's a free-to-play character, but he's supporting. So it's really based on the power of Jean and Guy, who's giving you the most important thing, Lord's Ambition, making you immune to debuffs. So you could take this team into stages where you're not normally allowed to use Aegis, because maybe they nerf your rate or they nerf your power. Well, that's not really a problem anymore. Or they poison and bind you and do annoying things. Also not a problem. Stacking attack on him, cool, that's weird because he's a burst protector. And he gives you an extra 20 points on top of the 30 that you're getting from him passively. Great. This is a good team. It just lacks an AoE character, which technically, yes, you can solve with Milim. But again, she didn't come out with this specific meta, so we're not going to include her. If it had an AoE, if Blanc was an AoE character, I'd have less of a problem. Just like if Leon was an AoE character, I'd have less of a problem. Alright, now we're getting into the top 4, and this is where things become very clear and obvious where we're gonna go with this. So number 4 is your Huff and Glue. You are huffing glue with the Sparkle of Youth team. Reckoning. Passive damage. It is Vengeance 2.0 if you're around for that. Passive damage based on how many stacks you have and some other stat that the game decides is worthy. This is HP focused rather than having attack focused like Vengeance, but also you do a lot more damage than what Vengeance does. This team is the glue huffing cheese eating team. Glue huffing cheesy team. Sorry. If you run this team, you can clear 95% of all content, except for the stages that specifically nerf this team, like removing status effects that Reckoning is, or sealing body and spirit skills, which most this team has. So combine those together, and if you have a stage where that doesn't work, well, then you're kind of fucked. But because this tier list is assuming that you are on the stage that you're meant to use it, this team is really good. You will almost never die, and you will do millions upon hundreds of millions of damage passively starting from turn 5. Up until turn 5, you're not doing jack shit, which eliminates some of the game's worthiness, because most events nowadays want you to end on turn 5, or if you go past turn 8, they're probably nerfing you. But this team, being pretty much invincible, is still very, very strong. Frey, not the most useful character. I mean, she's giving you the HP increase and heals, which does matter. But not having her versus not having Hinata is night and day. Hinata with the HP absorption, the damage absorption skill, plus the extra protection gauge on green orbs, plus just Reckoning stacks. Even free-to-play Shizu. Like, we have cleared so much additional content using fucking free-to-play Carrion and Shizu by herself with a whole butt ton of other free-to-play units, and you win. You don't even need these 3 for half the time, which does go to show the power of Carrion and Shizu, which is great, but this team does fall off a bit, because sometimes you're looking for a nuke on turn 5. Right on turn 5. Not at the end of turn 5 when maybe they just accidentally kill you. But you probably don't have that issue because you're going to be invincible. Alright, number 3 is another gimmick team. And it is the Schemer meta with Soe, Diablo, Lumi, Soka, and Laplace. And this team, apart from doing really good damage on single targets and AoEs, which some teams have problems with, it also has the sword gimmick, which you cannot nerf like the Reckoning team. The only way to nerf it is to seal Soka, essentially, for her skill, the sword gimmick plus the gauge increase. But if you activate that turn 1 before a seal goes on, like you're set. You've got the follow-up orbs from Laplace. You've got the AoE and the multi-hit from Lumi. You've got a very, very strong personal buffing, like self-sufficient, that's the word, AoE, DPS, and Diablo. You have a single target strong character in Soka who could support the team and other teams as well. Plus, just giving a 50% gauge increase to greens across the board means that you could put her on other teams if you want to. But this team has it all. It has a dedicated AoE, it has a dedicated single target, it has very strong buffs, and it has a gimmick that's going to ensure that you probably kill, because according to my math that I did a long time ago, this team, when you have 864 total hits, you're doing 180 million damage total, with 3.7 million damage per sword, and at that many hits, you're doing about 47, 48 sword hits individually, which means that 6 hit barriers mean nothing when you're doing 180 million damage just passively. However, it only takes effect on turn 5, and no other turn. So if you don't get to turn 5, you don't see it. If you go past turn 5 and you didn't kill everything, well, you're never going to see it again, because it is only on turn 5. But this team has other ways to kill, having single target ults and AoE ults. Alright, at this point, it should be pretty clear where we're going. So, rank number 2, still 6 months later, is going to be Warrior's Mind. So, Shuna, Blanc, Violet, Gobwa, Xion. The power that team put out 6 months ago, and still to this day, is still unbelievable to some point. The fact that we have a true debuff focused team, which we've tried before and haven't really worked out, like this is where power creep really started to explode for the EX Unbound metas. But because before this, like, yeah, the Frieren team did a lot of damage. That's true. And teams before that also did a lot of damage. But Warrior's Mind, the power of dread, the power of control, power of the physical resistance down, the dark plus resistance down, the physical magic damage, the weakness strike stacks, the rainbow converting, the pierce and the debuffs here. Like, this team is still horrifically unbalanced half the time. So there's no real way to defend against it, because even if you nerf orbs, you have rainbows. So, like, it doesn't really matter. The only true way that you can take this team out of superhuman contention is to eliminate debuffs, because this team is wholly built around debuffs. If you can't do the weakness strike and the dread and the dark plus and the control and the alt resistance and the pierce and the debuffs, like, it does become less effective of a team. It can still do a lot of damage without the debuffs. It's just not that peak level of intensity that we're looking for. But still a fantastic team, very easy to operate, very smooth, and there are a lot of other units you could put into this 5th slot or even replace Xion with. But even the Xion, orange skill points and the alt swap for dark characters means that you don't have to worry about Goblin Blanc taking things up. But most of the time, you're just getting an EX alt for Blanc and getting her the hell out on turn 3. So, Warrior's Mind 2.0, still great team. Which then leaves the number 1 spot, which, I mean, isn't too much of a shocking place, but we have Scourge Wielder, which is not unlike Warrior's Mind. But instead of debuffs, we're looking at multi-turn buffs. 2-turn physical buff, 3-turn synergy debuff, 3-turn physical damage buff, 3-turn light and dark buff. We've got the alt swap, that's generic, and the convert for Scourge Wielder. That's not generic, but hey, this team is full of Scourge Wielder. And we've got the Chaos gimmick, which means that even when you have 2 really strong AoE alts and a strong single target alt, the hero is also doing the weakness strike stacks. So she is combining the low points and high points of EX Unbound units, which is, some of them are built only for DPS, some of them are only built for support alts, and they're really bad at doing damage. The hero's good at doing both. And she's got a rewind, which is a cheat code, normally. But this is like the super special rewind that lets you do everything truly again a second time, which means you can alt on turn 3 and then alt on turn 3.5. You could use skills on 3.5 again. You can swap people out turn 3.5. You get traits activated on the turns that they get activated. Like, that is a lot of power while being an AoE character, while giving weakness strike, while having multi-turn damage buffs, while also having the Chaos gimmick, which is doing billions of damage. Like, legitimately, the Jubilee that just ended, the high score was 7 billion damage. And not on a single alt. They were doing it multiple times because we have the power to do that with the AoEs and the 100% orange gauge buff from Lumi. So even though, yeah, on paper, the Warrior's Mind team still really, really good. But if you take away debuffs, this team doesn't look as good. If you take away debuffs with this team, what do you lose? You lose the synergy? Oh no, you're still going to do a lot with the Chaos gimmick, because you can stack that a lot. 50% here, 20 or 12.5% here, so 25% each 2 stacks. You could do this multiple times too because of the rewind. So Scourge Wielder has the potential to kill everything in the game, no questions asked. You cannot take away the, well, I mean, they could cleanse the Chaos gimmick, but most likely you're gonna just kill them with the AoE or single target alt anyways. So that is my current top 10 meta list. The other EX Unbound metas that I did not talk about would be ODL, which wasn't a true meta because it was just Guy and Millum. Tournament Stalwart, which Future Hand of Blue Orb, and Lumi is good on her own. Gob Taranga Fusion and Rimuru that came with them, they're okay. And then Festive Memories was the worst EX Unbound meta, so they're not really in contention. Maybe someone could argue Tournament Stalwart over like Divine General. I could see that. But otherwise, this is what we're looking at. So let me know in the comments if you agree with this ranking or in who you would switch up. I know some people are going to be miffed about Frieren and Machi, but let me know in the comments below. That's it for me. take it easy. Happy 4th anniversary, and I'll see you all later.